This is Scott with Offensive Group for the Armory Life. Today we'll be performing a field strip and cleaning of the Springfield Armory 1911DS Prodigy. If you've ever field stripped a 1911, the process is effectively the same. However, this model uses a full-length, two-piece guide rod system, and we suggest seeing this even if you're already familiar with the 1911 platform. Alright, digging right in. First and foremost, you'll want to unload and verify that your pistol is empty. With your finger off the trigger and the firearm pointed in a safe direction, drop the magazine, lock the slide to the rear using the slide stop, and inspect the chamber both visually and physically to make sure that it's completely empty. With the slide still locked to the rear, use a 5/32 hex wrench to loosen the guide rod just a 1/2 turn counterclockwise. However, do not completely unscrew that rod. Now, just like any 1911, line up the semicircular disassembly notch in the slide with the slide stop and pull out the slide stop from the frame. At this point, the slide is still under tension from the recoil spring, so maintain control and gently remove the slide by moving it forward off the frame rails. You can now set the grip frame aside as no further disassembly of it's required for field stripping. Now let's continue with the slide. Firmly grab the slide assembly with one hand, and while maintaining control of the recoil spring, unscrew and remove the guide rod from the front of the slide using the 5/32 hex wrench that we used to loosen it earlier. Now be careful again, as that recoil spring will be under some tension. Lift and remove the guide rod head and recoil spring from the slide and spring plug. Next, remove the reverse spring plug from its home by sliding it rearward from the recoil spring tunnel in the slide. Lift the barrel slightly, then pull it forward and out of the slide while keeping its lug in a vertical position. Field stripping is complete now, and you can commence with cleaning your pistol. Now for the cleaning procedure, using a clean rod, run several clean, solvent-soaked patches through the barrel. Then attach an appropriately sized bristle brush to the cleaning rod, apply some solvent to it, and run it through the full length of the barrel until it's clean of powder residue. You're going to want to clean the barrel with a couple dry patches and examine it throughout the process. If necessary, scrub the barrel again and repeat. Once those patches are running clean, run a dry patch down the barrel, then follow it up with a lightly oiled patch. For the rest of the components, put some solvent on a clean patch and wipe away any powder residue, paying special attention to the parts of the recoil system, such as the barrel, feed ramp, and slide rails. Q-tips might also come in handy for those hard to reach parts of the slide, and then you just follow it up with a dry patch, finally wiping all surfaces with a lightly oiled patch or cloth. Alright, now it's time to reassemble. Now that the Prodigy is clean, let's put it all back together. Start by reinstalling the barrel from the front of the slide, making sure to keep the lug vertical and seating it in the lugs on the slide. Install the reverse plug into the recoil spring tunnel on the interior of the slide. Next, place the recoil spring onto the guide rod and carefully insert the other end of the spring into the plug, compressing it and seating the guide rod into its correct spot near the barrel lug. While maintaining control of the recoil spring assembly, install the corresponding piece of the guide rod from the front through the center of the recoil spring, threading it into the other half of the rod. If you'd prefer, you can use the 5/32 hex wrench for this part, but do not tighten it completely at this point. Check now that the guide rod head is still in its correct orientation near the barrel lug. You can now install the entire slide assembly onto the frame. If you run into any resistance, remove the slide again, and make sure your barrel is properly seated and the recoil system is aligned. Never force the slide onto the frame during this step, as it can damage the pistol. If everything is correctly seated, no additional force should be required. Now, maintain control of the slide and pull it rearward until the disassembly notch is lined up with the correct spot over the frame window. It'll be under some tension at this point from the recoil spring. Install the slide stop pin into the frame and through the barrel link. If needed, use a soft tool such as a toothpick or non-marring specialty tool to compress the slide stop plunger during install. Now simply lock the slide back and tighten the guide rod with the 5/32 hex wrench using a moderate amount of force. The assembly should be snug. Reassembly of your 1911DS Prodigy is now complete, and you're good to go. As always, shoot straight, stay safe out there, and we'll see you on the next one.